Well guys, the house is finally gone. It feels great to have this space opened up and makes it a lot easier for us to vision how we're going to develop this area for our future homestead. As I've mentioned in past videos, we are going to build a small cottage for ourselves for the long term, and then there'll be other outbuildings and parcels as well. For example, we'll develop an RV pad with full hookups to park the Airstream. We may develop a guest house out here. So anyway, it really is pretty cool having the space open. It's a whole different feeling without having that house here, which is great. There's still some work to be done. There were some drainage issues with the old house. On that side of the driveway during heavy rains, puddling would occur in the driveway. So now's the time to get those drainage issues fixed, and they're not that big of a deal. I may in fact have Gary, who did the demolition, do that drainage work for us. So that's a project that'll come down the road. For now, we're just gonna clean up the the small pieces of debris that he wasn't able to get with his demolition, and then begin to also clean up some of the landscape that went down during our winter storms. So this weekend is the 1st of April already, so we're headed quickly into spring, and now's the time to work on some of this tree trimming and so forth before it gets thick with foliage. So that's a project coming up. Today I finished the fencing around the raised bed gardens, and now I need to build the doors into each side of that area. So that's what I'm going to work on today. So guys, as it turns out, I measured I measured the wrong way. The distance between the two 4x4 posts was 69 inches exactly, and I cut these doors to be basically 34.5 inches wide exactly. So the result is they don't close. So the solution, which won't be too bad, is it's only off by about 1/2 inch. Really probably just 1/4 inch, but what I'm going to do is take this piece off, and then I'll cut each of these cross beams. I'll cut 1/2 inch off of each of the cross beams, put this piece back on, and then we should be good to go. Bummer! All right, guys, so problem solved. Not too difficult, thankfully. I still have the latches to put on these gates, and then of course the opposite end, I've got to build the same gates. So I've learned my lesson on the measurements. I'll make sure to get those perfect. I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the middle here yet. I may have Lisa design something to go in these spaces rather than just putting the 12.5 gauge deer fence in here. Might be cool to do some kind of design, maybe some bamboo or something decorative, and she's great at that. I'm also gonna end up putting a sign over the top of these gates. The name of our garden is Longevity Garden, so I'll ultimately put some kind of placard sign over the top that says Longevity Gardens. All right, let's keep going. So another project that we've got to get completed pretty quick is to get a temporary electric pole set up. You see behind me, this is the old meter, which was connected to that transformer there and then out to the pole on the street. That's been de-energized, obviously, and disconnected from the house before we demolished it. The good news is that everything is here to set up a temporary power pole. It should not be that difficult. I also have a main breaker panel here with a 200 amp breaker in place. So the more pressing issue is to get power connected to my well. So the well pump obviously is not working with no power. Again, we live rural, and the problem is contractors are pretty few and far between. And those that are here, they're booked out for months. So I'm having to go pretty far north of Coos Bay, which is almost 2 hours north of us, to find an electrician to come out and hopefully do this work. I'm in the process of bidding the project out right now. I have no idea what it costs to set up a temporary pole, but it shouldn't be too much, again, because everything is here already. It's just a matter of making a few connections. The electric company, however, will not re-energize this unless the temporary pole is signed off by a state certified electrician. Otherwise, I do it myself. It's not that difficult. So anyway, working on that and hope to get that completed over the next couple of weeks again so that I can get power to the well house. Most of my tools are battery operated. They're the cordless now and work great. So I just charge the batteries at the house in town and, you know, no big deal. But it would be nice to have some outlets here. Also, we're going to bring the camper here and camp on this property this summer. So I want 30 amp power for that. So that's where we are. So guys, I'm on my way home and I thought I'd stop down at the down by the river and see how the river's flowing. You know, we're in the middle of winter, toward the end of winter actually, and steelhead fishing is huge this time of the year around here. Lots of guided steelhead tours as well as just the locals fishing off the riverbank. So anyway, I thought I'd pull over. We've got a number of these access points along the Rogue River here on the way back into town. So I'm gonna take a walk down here. You ordinarily can drive down these access points, but sometimes when you get down in there a little ways, it's flooded out, and the tires on my truck need to be replaced. So the tread is pretty worn, and I don't want to risk getting stuck, even with four-wheel drive. So let's go have a look. Kind of a warmer day today. I'd say probably a good 15 degrees warmer than yesterday, but overcast, and it's been raining on and off, so I didn't get much done at the homestead property, and I'm headed home early. So today's Friday, and looking forward to a fun weekend with Lisa this weekend. So you can see we're headed down to the river here, and there are some cars, some trucks down there parked. So that doesn't surprise me. All right, so not too many people down here fishing today, which surprises me. Might have something to do with the rain. It's in addition to steelhead fishing right now, the springers are also running. So that spring salmon. Steelhead, in case you don't know, is actually a trout, and it looks just like a salmon. And Lisa and I actually prefer the meat over salmon. It's a little bit healthier for you. It looks almost identical to salmon, steelhead, and they're big fish. I've never caught one, but I've eaten plenty. Matter of fact, I haven't even got my fishing rod out this season yet. You know, we were in the desert for a little while at the beginning of the year. And salmon season kicks up usually around the end of May, around Memorial Day weekend, and runs through the summer. So anyway, it's pretty peaceful out here today. The river's still blown out from the winter storms, so it's still very clear, but there is still some mud running through it. Summertime, this river is absolutely pristine. Well, hey guys, so cold day today, man. Windy, overcast, no rain though. So I was able to finish the gates at the opposite end of the garden area today. I did the other ones yesterday. And just putting the latching hardware on right now. So the fence project is pretty well done for the deer fence around the garden area. Again, I still have these middle areas to do for the doors, and I talked to Lisa about that last night, and we may do something kind of fun in here rather than just the plain fence. Not sure yet. She's thinking about it. We're probably not going to plant much in this garden, certainly not this spring. Spring is just about upon us. I still have work to do inside, starting with putting the weed barrier down, and then of course building the raised beds. So that's going to be a pretty major project. We'll shoot for planting for our fall crops, but likely won't actually do any vegetable gardening this summer. But the following year, full on. Again, we're just taking the steps right now to develop this homestead for our long-term place to live and thrive. Again, with this garden, we want to be, our goal is to grow at least 50% of what we consume. So that's the optimum goal for us. Anyway, feels good to be done with this. Next, I'm going to work on starting to figure out how to bring the water up to this garden. Got a couple of different options, as I mentioned in a video or two past. There's an existing pipe under the driveway, and I haven't been able to find the other end of that, so I don't know how to go about finding that without obviously digging up the driveway. And if I do that, I may as well just lay new pipe across the driveway, which I may do. So anyway, brr. Well, hey guys, another rainy day. Man, I'm looking forward to the sunshine. We're probably a few weeks away from reliable sunshine, but I'm looking forward to it, and so is Lisa. Back in the shop today, I'm working on some errands that I've just been putting off for a while, including getting these two motorcycle batteries charged. I had discharged both of these while I was working on my motorcycle last summer. So, gonna get these on the charger today, get them recharged. It was fun to stop by the river today and check things out down there. I'm anxious to get fishing again. I'm not a rainy weather fisherman, and again, most of the winter is rain, so I'm a fair weather fisherman. I prefer to not be in the rain while I'm fishing. But I do have this pole here set up for steelhead fishing. This is a little spinner that is weighted with about 4-ounce weight, and it just spins in the river, and those steelhead hit this thing pretty good. I picked up what's called a side and cinder. Anyway, it's a planer board, and this is pretty cool. What this does is you attach this halfway up your leader here, and this will take your lure out into the middle of the river. And so it's real cool when the river's pretty wide. It's probably 40 or 50 yards wide in the places where I fish. And so you can be on the shore and just drop your line in the river, and this thing will take the bait out to the middle of the river, and the lure rather, and it just sets there in the middle of the river rather than having to cast it way out there and worry about the current taking it, you know, in a different direction than you want. So anyway, I'm anxious to try this thing out. I've seen other people use it and they say it works great. So hopefully we'll get some fishing adventure videos in. And more than just the adventure, hopefully we'll get some actual fish. So that's all I've got for this week, guys. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed the video, please smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I'll look forward to seeing you next time.